Hi everyone, this is Chandan. Today we are going to see about origin table in PostgreSQL. Let's see the definition. So you can see origin table are table that exist in different database or data source that can be accessed if they were local tables in the PostgreSQL. They allow PostgreSQL interact with external data assembly. So actually what it does, if we have some other tables or data in other storage like other database or file storage, object storage. So those data we can access that in our PostgreSQL on the fly by creating a normal schema in our PostgreSQL which is known as origin table. So the data will be stored on that same different source, but the structure a schema we need to define in our PostgreSQL, and when we perform some operation, that time the query will execute and fetch data from that different source. So we do not need to load the data in our PostgreSQL. We just need to create logical tables. So here you can see the purpose of origin table in PostgreSQL. The main purpose is to enable data integration from various sources, allowing user to query and manipulate data across different databases without need to replicate it. Yes. So that same point I explained. So the main purpose is enable data integrity from the various source. So we can enable that uh, different source data in our PostgreSQL, allowing user to query and manipulate data across different database without needing to replicate it. So without we do not need to replicate it in our database, and we can query from different database or different data source like S3 bucket or some Parquet file we can load with some extension. So let's see what is origin data wrappers. So origin data wrapper is a kind of PostgreSQL extension that provides that ability to connect the external data source. It's act as a bridge between PostgreSQL and external data source. So it is a kind of it is a extension for PostgreSQL, and we need to execute some command to create that extension, and it act as a bridge between two database or Postgres between object storage or file storage. It provides that features to access that different source data. So the types of origin data wrapper available in PostgreSQL support various FWD for different data source, including for connecting to the PostgreSQL database. So we can connect other PostgreSQL database also. We connect MySQL database also for accessing a flat files. So these are the types of the origin data wrappers. Built-in origin data wrapper PostgreSQL come with several built-in FWD, but user can also create a custom FWD to connect to other data source. There is a few key concepts we need to keep in the mind when we work with origin tables. So origins, we need to create a origin server in the PostgreSQL with that extension. So first we need to create a extension, then we need to create a server, and we need to define some host, DB name, port, like that. User mapping, we also need to map that user. So the PostgreSQL database can access that source. User credential, we need to give that, and then origin tables we need to define in our local database, so which is a PostgreSQL database, to map that actual table in the external data source. It allows you to perform SQL operation on the remote data as if were local. Mapping to the actual table. So actual table we need to map. The origin data table definition include the schema, column name, types that match the structure of remote table. So both tables should be match, or if we have different database or different source and that data data type is not matched, that times we need to check with that computable data types to map that, and then we can implement that origin tables in our database. So let's see that how we can create FWD extension in our PostgreSQL. So first we need to install that extension in our PostgreSQL, and then we need to create a extension using this command. I highlighted that command with the orange color. So all the commands are highlighted with the orange color. Creating a origin server. So using these commands, you can define that origin server. So first you need to create a origin extension using above commands, and below you can create that create server. So you define a origin server using create server command, specifying the connection details to the external source. Creating a user mapping, you create a user mapping using create user mapping commands, which associate to a local user to the credential needed to the access for origin server. So create user for local servers, origin server option user, and we need to give that remote user name and password, remote user password, define that. So we can give that, and that user map, if we do not have that authentication, so we just need to do that create user mapping for local users server origin server only. We do not need to give that options and all user and password. After that, we need to create origin tables. So here is the example origin tables. So we need to give that table name, like create origin table name, and that column name and associated data types, servers and origin servers, and then we need to give that options. So here O is missing, but you can type that origin server space options, table name, remote table. After defining that table, you can select that data from that origin tables, like usually we do in our SQL database. Select a string from table name, or select some column names from table, and all the operation we can aggregate, group by all the operation we can perform on that tables as normally we do. Yeah, so that's all about that uh, origin data wrapper in our PostgreSQL. It is a kind of extension. So that's all. Thank you for watching.